Mr. Kevin Muhammad. He too is he's from one of the oldest black families of Fort Wayne, the McDonald and Blanks families. Kevin, come on up and share what the nation is doing. And I think it said something about a 1 million man march.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. For those of us who are unfamiliar with that greeting of Assalamu alaikum, it means peace be unto you. And striving to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, Jesus always greeted the people that he spoke to with peace. Before he departed from them, he left them with peace. So since the English language wasn't around during the time of Jesus, he would have spoke either ancient Aramaic, Arabic, or Hebrew. Is that right? So in Hebrew, we would say shalom alaikum. Is that right? And if Jesus were here today speaking his language, in Arabic, he would have said assalam alaikum. Is that right? All right. I wanted to thank Brother Eric Hackley for the opportunity to speak to us this afternoon. And I'm honored to be up here with all of this wisdom and experience. I'm new to the ministry and to a position of leadership and have a lot to learn from everybody that's up here. But one thing that I did notice about every person that came up here before me, every single person mentioned something about God or church. We are spiritual people by nature. Even in our foolishness, when we get on TV and win awards and whatnot, we still mention God. Is that right? With our pants, as they mentioned before, with our pants hanging down below our waist, for lack of a better terminology, we still thank God. Is that right? So since we are a spiritual people by nature, then in order for us to understand the time that we living in and the circumstances that we are faced with every day, we have to understand where this problem is in Scripture. You understand? Where are we in the Bible? Where are we in the Holy Quran? Is that right? Because if we want a solution to where we can see where the state of the hood is, then we just don't want any solution. We want God's solution. Is that right? We need a divine solution. Is that right? So where are we in Scripture? In the book of Genesis, the first book of the mighty Bible, is that right? The 15th chapter, beginning with the 13th verse, God is talking to Abraham, and he said, Abraham, know of a surety or a sure thing that your descendants will be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. This is in the book. And it says they will be enslaved and inflicted for 400 years. It's in the book. So our enslavement and our sojourn in America is not an accident. It was known before it took place. Is that right? And put in the divine scriptures. But as that verse continues, it says, I will judge the nation which you serve and bring you out with great substance. There is no people who better fit that description of a 400-year-old oppression brought out of their native land of Africa to a strange land, America, with strange language, strange culture. Huh? There's no other people that fit that description better than we, the lost black people and black generation of America. Is that right? Some people would argue and say, well, that's the Jews. But Jesus don't agree with that. The gospel don't agree with that. Jesus is talking with the Jews, and Jesus says, the truth will make you free. Is that right? And the Jews responded by saying, we have been in bondage to no man. How sayest thou we be free? So it's not talking about them, it's talking about us. Now, if we continue to read Genesis, through Deuteronomy, through Exodus, we read about the experiences that these people had who were enslaved. Is that right? What was the solution to their problem? See, as we talk about Willie Lynch, and I had to fight back tears just mentioning or hearing the mention of that name because I've read that letter. And the sad part about it is not that it happened, but as my sister said, that it still exists today. And this is why we find it easy to rob one another, to kill one another, to rape our own sisters, to take advantage of one another and find it almost virtually impossible for us to unify as a people. It's because of that syndrome that we have yet to recover from. Where are we in Scripture? So if we are the fulfillment of that prophecy, then the solution for the children of Israel was not integration. My brother mentioned the Emancipation Proclamation. And if you understand the word emancipation, which means to free out of one's hand, but not out of one's control. So we're still being controlled mentally. They don't call it a plantation today, they call it prison. Help yourself, brother. And that is the biggest privately owned business in existence in America today. Did you know that? Prison systems. Prison systems. Get you some niggas. Get you some buffoons. Lock them up. Make money off of them. Huh? What's the solution? It's not integration. It's not assimilation. We've tried that. Right? But the solution according to Scripture, was the going out and the separation of the descendants of the slaves from that government and people who has enslaved them. Now, Brother Carl Johnson, during the Kwanzaa celebration that was here, he said the most important thing that we could talk about is reparations. And he's right. But don't expect reparations to come from the Capitol. Don't expect reparations to come from the White House. Would you expect the repair to the damage that's been done to be repaired by the ones who caused the damage? Some would. But the damage is so bad that they are unable to repair the wrong that they have done. So the divine solution was the coming of God himself. Huh? And raising up in our midst a divine leader, a divine teacher, and a divine God. We call him Jesus. Now, I was raised in the church that my brother pastors now, Union Baptist Church. And because I went out from the church, many people thought that I went away from Jesus. I would be a fool. I would be a fool to separate myself from the love of Jesus.